text 18 till 18 we covered yesterday. So we'll start from, mostly we'll try to complete this chapter this week, today, I think. It is, yeah, we are complete the chapter. We are trying to
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji, your voice is breaking. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Our other devotees.
What was the topic going on? Why Sukadeva Goswami is speaking about Dharanashraya as Paramatma? Yesterday we discussed why Sukadeva Goswami brought the topic of Dharanashraya as the Paramatma, Samishti Paramatma. Why one has to meditate on Paramatma? Can anyone say?
Yes, Prabhuji, because there are mixed opinion. That is why he brought this subject.
Yeah, that is true. Yesterday we discussed. But why he has to meditate on Paramatma? Why not on Virat Rupa? Anyone? Why one has to meditate on Virat Rupa? Why one meditate on Paramatma? Why can't he stick to Virat Rupa? Any idea? No. Okay. Yeah, it's a little technical topic, maybe, definitely. So we are seeing Ashtanga Yoga, Ashtanga Yogi. What is the goal of Ashtanga Yoga? What is the goal of Ashtanga Yoga?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, it is to see the
Samadhi,
Paramatma
Samadhi.
within the heart.
Ramakrishna Prabhu.
Yes,
Boliye.
Prabhuji, it is to see the Paramatma within the heart. And then, unfortunately, the yogis, many of them, they want to merge into Brahman, but the highest should be to then further realize the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, definitely you touch the point, but in general, they have a goal of Brahman realization or merging in Brahman. Though they may have the sadhana of meditating on Paramatma, but the Ashtanga Yogi the goal is that they want to merge. Even Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga both. Jnana and Yoga both are aiming at Brahman realization.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So for that, for sadhana, for that, for Ashtanga Yogi, what is sadhana? Someone else was saying. What is the sadhana? Sadhya is Brahman realization. What is sadhana? Yeah.
यम नियम से समाधि तक.
संदीप प्रभु बोलिए.
हाँ, यम नियम से लेकर समाधि तक जो अष्टांग योग है ना, उसका वो साधना है. उसका पालन करना, ध्यान
very good.
ध्यान धारणा समाधि.
Correct. So you are describing general process of Ashtanga Yoga. So we are here describing a specific sadhana. Can someone, Mataji, I think someone raised the Shobhalakshmi Mataji. Want to say something? Pardon? I couldn't hear. Hatha Yoga, generally Hatha Yoga means it's only asanas and pranayama. It's called a space. Out of 8 limbs, only 2 limbs if you are practicing, just like modern people. When you focus on asana and pranayama, out of all the processes, asanas especially, asanas, pratyahara, focusing on one or two, that's Hatha Yoga. Here, last chapter and this chapter, we are discussing specific sadhana of Ashtanga Yogi. In general,
Dharana.
8 limbs on this.
Prabhuji, they are discussing
Yeah,
about
Sandeep
dharana.
is mentioning dharana. Yeah, dharana. What is dharana ashray?
Prabhuji meditates on
Saji Sundari Mataji.
Virat Rupa. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna Prabhuji meditates on Virat Rupa.
yeah, meditation on Virat Rupa for whom? Ashtanga Yogi of which level? Virat Rupa meditation, dharana ashraya is correct. But at what level? For which kind of a Ashtanga Yogi? Advanced or neophyte?
No, Prabhuji, neophyte.
Yeah, it's neophyte. Dharana ashraya is the Virat Rupa. That is the sadhana for neophyte Ashtanga Yogi. One who is advanced. What is meant by advancement? Can anyone say? Raise your hand. What is meant by advancement in Ashtanga Yoga? We discussed yesterday the person who is doing Ashtanga Yoga, neophyte is practicing and meditating, keeping Dharana Ashraya as the Virat Rupa. So once he becomes advanced, he has to come to another Dharana Ashraya as sadhana. So what is meant by advancement? Yeah, Ramkishore Prabhu.
Prabhuji, so initially, even if he is doing on Virat Rupa, because he can only understand from material point of view. So that's why he is attaching various parts of universe to that. But then later on, he has to advance and realize the Paramatma feature, the 1/8 inch height, the Lord within the heart, and he tries to focus on that form of the Lord, which is the real, actually, transcendental form of the Lord. It is
true.
imaginary like Virat Rupa. So that is
Sure.
the advanced stage, is my understanding.
My question is what is the definition of advancement? You said correct answer, but my question is what is meant by advancement? When he will say that he is advanced? Yes, Sandeep Prabhu.
When the heart is cleaned.
Yeah, that's the point. The neophyte Ashtanga Yogi means that his heart is not at cleansed. His heart has so much of material enjoying mentality. So the material enjoying mentality has to be cleansed by connecting everything that is seeing with his physical senses with the Lord. That imposition, that Virat Rupa Dharanashray, he is imposing everything that is seeing as a great, as aesthetic, everything that is connecting to the Lord. That connection makes the heart very much cleansed. That heart is purified. When his heart is becoming cleansed and purified, then he will gradually progresses. He starts trying to understand or meditate on the Lord in actuality, in reality, as a Paramatma, that he will naturally attracted towards the Lord. That's the meaning. He will be naturally attracted towards the personality of the Lord. Also, he understands by scriptures, by authorities, by Shastra, one has to gradually come to the meditation of the Supreme Lord in order to come to a transcendental sadhya. Transcendental sadhya is Brahman. Brahman is not material, right? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavanati, Shabdate. These three are actually transcendental. There is no material change in them. So to attain a transcendental sadhya, you have to have the sadhana also come to the level of the transcendental process. Just like Ashtanga Yogi has to come to the level of meditating on the Paramatma who is transcendental. So otherwise he will be caught up in the process of Virat meditation only. Still, if he, as we mentioned, that if he keep on meditating on Virat Rupa, if his heart is not cleansed, we will see that he will gradually progress through the process of cleansing. Then he will come to the stage where it's called Krama Mukti. He will gradually realize the Supreme Lord, or he will merge in Brahman in a different way. It's called Krama Mukti. But till now we are seeing that the person who is practicing Virat Rupa meditation, one who is advanced, purified his heart, he will gradually come to meditation on the Paramatma feature. So yeah, okay. So yeah, we can read this summary 15 to 32 and 32 to 37. Then we will continue. Can someone read summary?
Verses 15 to 32.
Yeah.
Shukadev Goswami describes how the successful Bhakti Yogi who is able to quit his body as he likes can purify himself of material, gross and subtle bodies, extinguishing all material desires. After pushing his life air through the cerebral hole and gradually ascending through the higher planets, he can at last pierce the outer coverings of the universe and enter into the kingdom of God. This process was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma. Verses 33 to 37. Shukadev Goswami recommends direct devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, as the most auspicious means of deliverance for those who are wandering in the material universe. He explains that Lord Krishna is the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, and that devotional service to him is the perfection of religion. Therefore, one should hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord.
So here, this you try to see the slight discrimination. Here they summarized that in the 15th thread, Sukadeva Goswami describes how a successful Bhakti Yogi is mentioned. And again, in the 33 to 37, Sukadeva Goswami recommends direct devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, as the most auspicious means of deliverance. So here, though it is said a successful Bhakti Yogi, it is not referring to a Bhakti Yogi. It's the process of Yoga Mishra Bhakti Mishra Yoga. That's the main. It has to be because the summary is made from the purports. So it's mentioned how Prabhupada gives the devotional purports. That's why it's mentioned here a successful Bhakti Yogi. So there was is not describing exactly what the direct Bhakti process, because he is 33 to 37, the direct devotional service, as it is mentioned here, a direct devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, is mentioned here. So that 33 to 37 is a direct Bhakti, is the actual Bhakti Yoga. But 15 to 32 is not the Bhakti Yoga, but it's Bhakti Mishra Yoga, the yoga process which has the mishram of bhakti. As I mentioned previously also, the Siddhanta that either karma or jnana or yoga has to have some tinge of bhakti to get their results. Without bhakti, all of the process cannot attain their results. This we have to remember always. So that's what is mentioned here. That is actually import of What is successful bhakti yogi? Okay. So text 19. Text 19. Yes, brother. Ramakrishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, I just had a question. So this process
Yeah.
of chakras which is being explained here and the passing of the air and through things. So is this coming in Ashtanga Yoga?
Yeah, this is all Ashtanga Yoga only. They have to continue this process of Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay. So, but
This is
even the Ashtanga yogi,
Dharana.
with some bhakti, he can enter kingdom of God. That is what is written in the summary, right? Even
Yeah,
if,
definitely. The karma, jnana, and yoga, when the practitioners continue their process, and if at all if they come in touch with the devotee, then only they can turn their process into bhakti yoga. Otherwise, it's very difficult for them to go to the planets of Vaikuntha or Goloka. They will not desire also, in one sense, unless there is association. Just like we have all association of devotees. That's why the goal or destination. We changed our desires and destinations, right? We all have so many other desires and destinations previously, but because the devotees association in form of physical, in the form of literature, in the form of acharyas. So our destination is changed, at least theoretically. So we are trying, endeavoring, striving. So similarly for them also, if they come in touch with some devotees or some path of bhakti, if they change the desire, then they can enter into the personal association of Lord. Though they may be practicing bhakti, if they don't change the desire, if they don't change their destination of Brahman, still they'll end up in Brahman only. Just like I gave Rameshwara example of from Chaitanya Charitamrita, who came along with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So he is practicing in the sense he is always chanting Ram. In fact, he is crying tears also. 24 hours. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was so impressed by him. He is so elevated, so wonderful, so exalted. But Lord Chaitanya could recognize that his desire is to merge in Brahman. So it depends on his free will, as I mentioned yesterday. If it happens that if he changes his desire and wants to serve the Lord instead of merging in the Lord, then he can go to the spiritual planets. Hope it makes sense.
yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So can you please read the translation of text 19? We are assigned.
By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and thus be able to extinguish all material desires. One should then give up the material body by blocking the air hole through which stool is evacuated with the heel of one's foot and by lifting the life air from one place to another in the 6 primary places.
Yeah. So now this is a process where till now Dharanashrayas are explained. How that yogi who is neophyte yogi has to meditate on Virat Rupa, and who is advanced yogi has to meditate on Paramatma. These are all descriptions is given. Now at the end of life, the yogi who is advanced, how he passes, that is given in these verses. This is advanced yogi, he is leaving the body. Now while leaving the body, and how he has to prepare himself, what are the procedure, that is given. That is called Shat Chakra Yoga. It's a bona fide process for Ashtanga Yogi. There are 6 chakras in the body. So one has to gradually raise the life air from Muladhara Chakra to Sahasrara. Gradual raising the life air through these chakras, and then the yogi leaves from the topmost Brahmarandra, it's called in technical terms, Sahasrara. So Brahmarandra, he leaves the body. I mean, you might have seen the famous picture on one of the book. I think it's Perfection of Yoga, I think. So there is a person is sitting, a skeleton-like person, and his life is going from the top of his head. I don't have right now the picture, but you might have seen. So that's how the yogis leave their body, perfected yogis. That's how they have the control over themselves. That's how they can leave the body also at their will. Just like we hear about Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev definitely is a Bhakti yogi, not an Ashtanga yogi. But Ashtanga yogis have that kind of control. Many of the advanced yogis, they can leave the body at their own free will. So they leave through Brahmarandra, because if the soul is leaving through any other randras, it's considered not at all a good kind of based on the elevation of the consciousness, one gives up the body through different holes of the body. So the more one is advanced, the more one is the more one is elevated on at a higher level. He leaves the body through upper holes. The bottom holes are considered very, very inauspicious leaving the body. Yeah, you might have read also in Prabhupada purports that leaving the body from the down holes is considered very inauspicious. It's kind of going to hell, indicating. So yeah, but the yogis leaves the body from topmost hole, from Brahmarandra. So that process is explained here. So yeah, Satyagraha, from 3 verses it explains the direct liberation. Satya Mukti. So lifting air from one place to another by 6 primary places. Prabhupada explains the process, cleaning the heart mainly. So Jataklamaha, he has to clean his heart. So Prabhupada explains the what is the need of the cleaning the heart, how he is elevated. Such a self-reliant soul ceases to exhibit his useless activities of attempting to lord it over material nature. Being scientifically well informed, he fully engages himself in faithful devotion to the Lord. So how he has to progress, Prabhupada explains. The actual process is explained. Please read this highlighted portion. Hare Krishna.
In olden days, such practice was very common for the transcendentalists, for the mode of life and character in those days were favorable. But in modern days, when the influence of the Kali age is so disturbing, practically everyone is untrained in this art of bodily exercise. Concentration of the mind is more easily attained in these days by the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The results are more effective than those derived from the inner exercise of the life air.
So Prabhupada is giving the conclusion, the essence. Text 20. Please read.
The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search the proper places with intelligence.
Yeah. So these are different chakras. One is rising gradually from Muladhara to Prabhupada writes also. Please read this purport.
There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air, and the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in meditative mood. Among these mentioned is the Swadhisthana chakra, or the powerhouse of the life air, and above this, just below the abdomen and navel, is the Mani Purak chakra. When the meditative devotee searches out the next higher circle of the life air, he reaches the Anahata chakra in the heart and further up. When the life air is placed at the root of the palate, he reaches the Vishuddha chakra.
Yeah. These are all 6 chakras, as I mentioned. So Prabhupada is giving technical terms. Though he is saying that the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places. So bhakti yogi here Prabhupada mentioning is not what we are trying to practice. We cannot say that, okay, I will also practice. No, it's not for the intelligent bhakti yogi in the sense that he is practicing yoga, but he is coming to the point of trying to understand the Lord. That's the intelligent bhakti yogi. he has the mission of bhakti. Okay. Translation 21.
Thereafter, the bhakti yogi should push the light air up between the eyebrows, and then, blocking the 7 outlets of the light air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme.
Please read the highlight portion.
The process of giving up all material connections and returning home back to Godhead, the Supreme, is recommended herein. The condition is that one should be completely free from desire for material enjoyment.
Yeah. So here, Prabhupada, thank you. So here the verse is saying that the main point is that he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. Of course, Prabhupada is giving the purport that Supreme Abode. Definitely, yogi, if he's practicing actual bhakti yoga, he will definitely aim to back to Godhead. But if he's attached to Brahman, he will aim at Brahman. So, but he should be completely. He should aim at the transcendental position. At the same time, he should not have any material desires. Completely free from all desires for material enjoyment. So these are the internal conditions. He cannot externally one may show anything, but internally what he maintains, that is most important. So we also read every day 10 offenses about the holy name to maintain material attachments. The 10th offense we read to maintain material attachments. Having material attachments is one thing that is understood because we are staying in material world. Having material desires, having material attachments is the concomitant factors being in this place of material world. But maintaining them, that's the most dangerous thing one should be careful about. Just like it is said that the sinful birds can come to on the tree of the body, sinful desires or offensive desires, but they cannot stick to the tree, right? The birds can come and stay on the tree, will stay on the tree because the birds always fly and come to stay on the tree, any tree, but they should not be attached to the tree. The sinful birds. So the sinful birds should not attach to the tree of the body. At least those who are aiming at the transcendental positions. The sinful birds can come and sit on the tree, indicating that we may have material desires, but they cannot be attached to the tree, just staying on the tree. So we should not allow them to stay on the tree, on our heart. So that's the main point here. So Prabhupada explains how one should, how we are all always longing for that highest plane of enjoyment for longest period. Prabhupada beautifully puts the statement: the highest plane of sensual enjoyment for the longest period of life is mentioned here in the Bhagavad Gita 9:20. So that is about Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, higher planet systems. So we need to also become detached from the highest plane with the longest period of enjoyment. That's what Prabhupada mentions. How detachment is possible? One cannot be freed from material attraction unless he has complete understanding of the nature of spiritual life. So paramdrishtvani vartate. So unless we have positive attachment, we cannot be attached to something. We cannot be detached from something negative. The more we are attached to the positive thing, the more we can be detached from the negative thing. The same. So the Prabhupada emphasis is that we need to be attached to the Supreme Lord. For whom detachment is possible? Only one who has his aim fixed upon that supreme spiritual world and personal association with the Godhead can give up. Personal association with the Godhead can give up his material connections even while living in the material world. Yeah. So one example is given in this connection Bhaktivedanta devotion gives. Just like if you want to pick up axe, let us suppose axe is lying on the ground, and you want to pick it up so that you can cut your firewood to take it home. But in your hand there is some object is there already while carrying from home, or while on the way you picked up some rock just to throw aside. So whatever is there in your hand, you have to give it up and then pick up the axe on the ground. So while focusing on the picking up, you naturally give it up whatever is there in the hand. Right. So the more the focus is on the picking up the axe than the giving up the whatever is there in the hand, it's automatically happens. It's concomitant factor. It's a naturally you'll give it up because you are focusing on picking up the axe. Right. So that's the process of becoming attached to Krishna and detachment to the material world. The more we are focused on picking up spiritual things, the more it becomes easy to give up whatever is which is unfavorable for devotion service. The more easy it becomes. So that's what the example says, that the more we focus on, let us focus on reaching the destination. So then we'll be more and more detached from the unfavorable things, unfavorable distractions also. So that's how yogi, everyone, not only Ashtanga yogi, even Bhakti yogi also. So Paramatma meditator is achieving direct liberation. Please read the purport. This one.
The life air passes through 7 openings, namely 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Generally, it passes through the mouth at the time of an ordinary man's death. But the yogis, as mentioned, who control the life air in his own way, generally release the life air by puncturing the cerebral hole in the head. The yogi therefore blocks up all the above mentioned 7 openings so that the life air will naturally burst forth through the cerebral hole. This is the sure sign of a great devotee's leaving the material connection.
Yeah. Prabhupada explains the natural process of living, how soul passes through 7 holes. Yeah, we discussed in the initial talk. Okay, but we should not judge any devotees passing away. This is only just to give a general indication. Yeah, you cannot judge anyone's advancement by seeing external symptoms. Okay, text 22. Please read translation.
However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments like transference to the topmost planet, Brahmalok, or the achievements of the eightfold perfections, travel in outer space with the Vihayas, or a situation in one of the millions of planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses.
Yeah. Till now, in the first chapter, what is Dharanashraya? Dharanashrayas are described in the first chapter and second chapter till these verses, initial verses. That Dharanashraya, Virat Rupa, Dharanashraya, Paramatma, they are described. But the conditions are now there. Now Sukadeva Goswami is giving the conditions, how one will pass through different stages. First, he described Sadyamukti, as we described that. An advanced yogi, he gives up his body and achieves perfection in terms of achieving Brahman by meditating on Paramatma, and then he lifts his life air because he is completely purified in heart. He doesn't have any material desire. He lifts his hair through the circles, this Shat Chakras, and then he gives up the body, and then he achieves his perfection. But now the second yogi in the sense that neophyte yogi, now the neophyte yogi is described. Till now, dharanashrayas are described and the perfection of the advanced yogi is described. Now, the neophyte yogi, how he has to perform to achieve perfection is described. So he's saying that if a yogi maintains a desire to improve, for a desire for improved material enjoyments, then he has to go through different planetary systems. So that's what is explained. This is called Krama Mukti or gradual liberation. So he has to purify his heart. So the purification we read that he has to keep on meditating on Virat Rupa. So he will do that. By doing that, to keep on meditating on Virat Rupa, then he will gradually elevate himself to different planetary systems by his purification and by his desire. Because he has a desire, so the process itself takes him to different planetary systems. So because Krishna arranged the system is like that, because he has a desire to enjoy more and more, at the same time, he is getting qualified by meditating on Virat Rupa. So by the qualification and by desire, so these two makes him to travel to different planetary systems. So that's how he gets a Krama Mukti or gradual liberation. Otherwise, if he is practicing Virat Rupa meditation and he is completely purified with all material desires, he doesn't have any other desire to see, okay, how is heavenly planet, how is Maharloka, how is Brahmaloka, let me see, let me enjoy, let me see what is there, what else is there. So if he is maintaining desires at the same time practicing Ashtanga Yoga, then he has to go through this Krama Mukti. But if he is purified by practicing Virat Rupa, if he is purified and he is meditated, he is coming to platform of meditating on Paramatma. He is very much satisfied with Paramatma meditation and he is purified in the heart. He doesn't have any other desires. Then he gradually elevates himself, just like what we mentioned. What is mentioned like Sadhya Mukti, direct liberation. He raises his soul through life is through Shatchakras and then he leaves the body. Because he has the desires. If a yogi maintains a desire, so this is important. So he is maintaining the desire for improved material enjoyment. Though he is practicing Ashtanga Yoga, but he has maintaining the desires to enjoy. So that qualification he is acquiring more and more, and because he has a desire, has that system, so he goes through different planetary systems. So all these planetary systems are mentioned now. So the desire to enjoy makes him to go through different planetary systems. Please read this one.
In the upper status of the planetary systems, there are facilities thousands and thousands of times greater for material enjoyment than in the lower planetary systems.
So you might have heard the famous quotation by Prabhupada when he was asked that our Jayan Prabhu, when he left the body, Prabhupada just mentioned that he might have went to heavenly planets. Everybody was shocked. Then I asked how he went to, he practiced bhakti and how he might have landed in heavenly planets. Then Prabhupada made a general statement that if one has any material desires, then one may land up in higher planetary systems. So that's how Prabhupada concluded the talk. So in the sense that, so by practicing bhakti or by practicing Ashtanga Yoga, whatever authorized and bona fide processes, we acquire qualifications. But based on desires, we are being given a position after this present body. So though we are practicing bhakti, if we have maintaining some desires to see some other places, so Krishna will definitely arrange that situations to go through. Just like here, Ashtanga Yogi also is desiring like that. So he's acquiring qualification by the practice. but he has the desires. So Prabhupada mentions about how all these siddhis and upper planetary systems is maintained that desire. So he is getting those desires fulfilled by having these siddhis is mentioned. You might have heard many times also these are siddhis, anima, lagima, prapti. Prabhupada many times mentions anima, lagima, prapti, mahima, ishita, ishitva, vashitva, prakamya, kama, vachayita, siddhi. So these are all 8 siddhis that yogi can also have these siddhis. But one should not be diverted by this, distracted by siddhis and the desires to enjoy. That's how Prabhupada focuses on this point that don't maintain the desires. Please read the summary.
With a materialistic mind, one can reach the best planet in the universe, but no one with a materialistic mind can enter into the kingdom of God. Senses are called spiritually purified when they are not involved in sense gratification. Senses require engagements, and when the senses are engaged totally in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they have no chance to become contaminated by material infections.
So Prabhupada giving the summary in the sense that how we need to be purified from all the desires. Senses require engagement. Because we have senses, and the senses need some engagement. It's like child. Child cannot be kept quiet for a long time. He has to be engaged. I mean, there is no use also just keeping the child quiet in the home. So he has to be engaged in a positively. Similarly, the senses, they need engagement. They need some kind of engagement. So that has to be carefully chosen how to engage the senses. Then only it will be fully satisfied. So the transcendental service of the Lord satisfies the senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate. In actuality, in reality, that is the main process. We always long to engage senses. Just like Ambarish Maharaj mentions how he engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada many times quotes that one. So by that we purify our senses and we attain the highest position. So of course Prabhupada here mentions how our mind, materialistic mind, drags down and distracts and diverts with all kinds of attachment to siddhis or perfections. So, but one should be focused that to purify the desires and to elevate himself in terms of engagement in service of the Lord. Okay, text 23. Is it?
The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body as such by the strength of their devotional service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge. Their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material world. The fruitive worker or the gross materialist can never move in such an unrestricted manner.
So now the Karamati is gradually described. He is having desires, now he is trying to elevate himself in the sense that he is practicing based on his desire. The Lord is making him to go through different, will make him go through different planets. So now because of meditation, he gets as such by the strength of their devotional service. Their devotional service in the sense that Prabhupada is translating devotional service, but because of their practice of Ashtanga Yogi. So he gets because of his austerities, meditation, he is endowed with Vidya, knowledge, transcendental knowledge. He's endowed with Tapa, austerities, to perform more and more, the yoga and jnana. All these are the results for his meditation and Virat Rupa. All these are been given. So all these are endowed on him. So by that he gradually goes to different planetary systems. So within the material worlds, they move in the planetary systems of the Mahar, Jana, Tapo, Satyaloka, beyond the material worlds, they can move in the Vaikunthas as unrestricted spacemen. Who? The devotees. Prabhupada is giving a devotional purport about transcendentalists in Bhakti Yoga. But these people who practicing Ashtanga Yoga, they go through all these planetary systems, but they cannot enter into higher abodes of the Vaikunthas or the Goloka. That will be described now. Please read.
O king, when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way by the eliminating Sushumna to reach the highest planet, Brahmaloka, he goes first to Vaishnav, the planet of the deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations, and thereafter he goes still higher to the circle of Shushumara to relate with Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead.
So first he halt, in the sense he desired to enjoy different planets. After leaving his body, living in the body, in the sense he is not left the body, but he has been given a different body to enjoy at different levels. The material body is still with him. Now you'll understand through verses how he gives up each his body gradually. First he goes to Vaishwanara planets, and then there he becomes purified, as the shloka is mentioning. That there is a Vaishwanara, the planet of deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations. Then he goes to planet of Shushumara. That's what is explained here. These are different planetary systems. I mean, I didn't come across exactly where these are in our 14 planets, but these are mentioned here in Bhagavatam. Definitely they are there. But he goes to these planets, and then he elevates himself by the practice of meditation. Is next.
This Sishumara is the pivot for turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodasai Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond this circle of Sishumara and attains the planet Maharloka, where purified saints like Bhrigu enjoys the duration of life 432 crores solar years. This planet is worshipable even for the saints who are transcendently situated.
Yeah. This is giving a more discussion about Sushma, and then he goes to Maharloka. Of course, we hear the 7 planet systems where the top from the earth, Bhur, Swaha, Swargaloka, Bhuloka, Bhurloka, Swargaloka, then then other planets come. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. So topmost is Satyaloka, these 7 planets. I think Shishumara and Vaishwanara may be in between is Bhuloka and then Maharloka. So it seems like that. Maybe I think you remember the top 7 planets. Maybe when time comes, I'll show the picture maybe in the next class. 1 minute, I'll have a picture. You might have seen this one. So the down 7 planets are there: Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal. These are called Patala Lokas, lower planet systems. And the middle one is Bhuloka, Bhurloka. Is a Madhyaloka, what is called our earthly planet, Bhurloka. Is a Bhuvar. Between Bhu and Swargaloka, we have one more planet, Bhuvarloka. Only our planet is called Martyaloka. Others are Swargalokas. They are called, in general, called Swarga, heavenly planets, but are all heavenly planets. So from Bhuvar to Satya, they are all called heavenly planets. So he goes to Maharloka, as it's mentioned. Shloka is mentioning that once he is elevating himself to Vaishwanara and then to Shushumara, they might be in between these two, Swargaloka and Bhorloka, and then he is going to Maharloka. So that's how he is elevating himself. The next stop is Maharloka. Basically, the enjoyments are more and more refined, as we hear from Bhagavad Gita also. Kshine Punye Martilokam Vishanti. Very beautiful verses are there. How they enjoy their pious activities there. So similarly, Yogi is also enjoying his pious activities. His pious activities in the sense he is doing whatever austerities he is doing. He's credited for his austerities. So that he is using and going to upper planets to enjoy the whatever conditions are there. Okay, please read next verse.
At the time of final devastation, the complete universe.
Your voice is a bit low. Are others able to hear?
Devastation of the complete universe, the end of duration of Brahma's life, a flame of the fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta. From the bottom of the universe, the yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes, and thus he lives for Satyaloka by airplanes used by the great purified souls. The duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be 15,480 trillion years.
Yeah. Am I audible for all clearly? Or some background noise is there? Prabhu?
Audible, Prabhuji.
Audible, Prabhuji.
Okay. So yeah, the next destination is mentioned here about Maharloka to Satyaloka. So the conditions are mentioned generally when the complete universe, final devastation, when it happens, end of Brahma's life. From mouth of Ananta at the bottom of the universe, the fire comes from the bottom. So yogis, they travel from Maharloka, then take shelter of Satyaloka. So that's what they do, because at the end of duration of Brahma's life, in the sense complete duration, everything will be dissolved. But when Brahma goes to sleep, that half planets are dissolved in water or fire, first fire, flame of fire. So that's how it happens. But when a complete devastation happens, there is no even Brahma's planet also. When Brahma's life ends, there is no even Brahma. Satyaloka also will not be there. But it is intermediate stage where it happens. So the upper planetary people, they go to the Satyaloka. So that's what mentioned here. I can't also explain in the sense that what exactly happens, because I don't have any experience. But still it's mentioned at different levels, different devastations happens. Right, you might be aware of that one. When Brahma goes to sleep, there is a kind of a half devastation. Devastation is pralaya, small pralaya. Brahma goes to sleep. Again, Brahma wakes up, then he has to create everything, whatever is dissolved in or in devastation. But when Brahma has to leave after 100 years his body, then everything with which is dissolved. The authentic pralaya. Yeah. So Prabhupada explains about all these devastations and about Satyaloka, the planetary systems, the times, the enjoyments. Of course, he gives the how we need to understand based on scriptures. That's what Prabhupada's main point, that we need to understand all these existence of the planets and their timings and their authenticity. We cannot just take it as a story or a myth kind of a thing. So Prabhupada brings out that point. So that these statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are accepted by great acharyas like Srila Swami, Ramanujacharya and Vallabhacharya. So he's not just imagination. So neither we can reach by imaginary speeds. So that's what Prabhupada's main point, that we may, because when a subject matter goes beyond our intelligence, then we may tend to think that, okay, these may be some kind of myths or some imagination, or whether they exist or not. It's too much to comprehend, right? It happens generally to anyone. So Bhagavatam has some sections where it challenges our intelligence. It challenges our conceptions. So understand. So Prabhupada senses that one and brings out the point that we should take based on authority, because all the authorities accepting the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we need to base our faith on the authorities. So science we cannot prove immediately, nor we have some immediate experience also. But because it's mentioned by Shastra, and because it is accepted by sadhus and established by acharyas, so we accept their acceptance. So that's what Prabhupada mainly mentions here. Modern scientists, however, are conditioned souls liable to so many errors and mistakes. Therefore, the safe side is to accept the authentic version of Vedic literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is accepted unanimously by the great acharyas. So common man has two, and that's what Prabhupada brings out. Common man has two authorities. One is scientists and one is acharyas or Vedas. So the better way, or the safe side, Prabhupada says here, we need to base our faith on Shastras. Then only we can go ahead, especially in spiritual path, especially in our practice of bhakti. The more and more faith has to build up based on Shastra, Shastriya Shraddha. Otherwise, our conceptions may be fragile if we just based on Loka Shraddha. They may be slacken any time. So definitely all these planetary systems are existing because Bhagavatam is expressed, Bhagavatam is establishing these facts. And these processes are mentioned. Okay, text 27. Please read.
In the planet Satyaloka, there is neither bereavement nor old age nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world.
So this is a description of Satyaloka, because all people, because of the fire coming from Anantadev, he is burning them. So they took all the yogis from Maharloka, they go up and up and up. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. All these people go up and stay in Satyaloka. So the description is given there because there is no kind of any anxiety or pain. There is no old age or death. That is, gross and subtle conditions are explained, and the consciousness is also explained here. Due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for the people in general also. That's the elevation that happens by gradual purification. So as one is purified more and more, he comes to feel the suffering of others. That's the compassion. That's the natural advancement has to come to that point. Even in bhakti also, we say that in 3 levels we say Namuruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jivdaya. So we need to, bhakti is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he mentions these are 3 sections. We need to apply ourselves. We need to gradually advance in Namaruchi, in the sense that we need to practice our own sadhana, our own advancement. And Vaishnava Seva, all sadhus, and respecting the Vaishnavas, trying to help them, try to serve them, the Vaishnavas, and Jivadaya. So the practice of bhakti has to are seen in these three terms, three levels. So the compassion, the love for God has to reflect in compassion to others. The more we loving Krishna means that it has to reflect in terms of serving Vaishnavas, in terms of showing compassion to others. But because we have, of course, we have seen the two verses in the previous classes that how from Bhagavad Gita 4.34-35 we have seen how the more we advanced in knowledge, receiving from spiritual master, that has to reflect in seeing everything and everyone in connection with Krishna. So that means we have to show compassion to others, compassion to not only others, everything and everyone. That is the Satyaloka's consciousness, the people who are very advanced in consciousness, purified in consciousness. So that's what the main verse is saying, that the people and the consciousness of their residents. Then Prabhupada explains how we should receive Vedic knowledge, how we advance. There Prabhupada starts from. So how to receive Vedic knowledge about higher planet? The same purport, of course, Prabhupada generally does that. And whatever previous theme is going on, he explains more in the next purports. So he is establishing the authority of Vedic knowledge about higher planetary systems from the previous verse. So he will gradually come to Satyaloka in the later portion of the purport. So Prabhupada continues the same theme that we should base our faith on Vedic knowledge about higher planets. Vedic knowledge is authorized and is acquired not by experiment but by authentic statements of Vedic literature explained by bona fide authorities. So we should not concoct about the presence of the planets and etc. We should take the knowledge from disciplic succession. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here about Satyaloka and higher planetary systems. How Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is establishing that knowledge I gave to all the Ikshvaku and the sun god, and then it's coming in disciplic succession, and how Arjuna understood all this. So how does it help? The Prabhupada explains here. How by receiving knowledge, we understand that there is a false happiness here in this middle world, but there is a greater and greater real happiness is existing in the spiritual world. So that's how Prabhupada mainly builds up the topic. How this Vedic wisdom helps to go beyond this all this false material happiness that is existing in this world and the above worlds also, in one sense. Though it's a very refined happiness, still it's a conditioned happiness only. So an intelligent person surpasses, Prabhupada writes here, an intelligent person surpasses all pangs of material existence like birth, old age, death, disease. He is actually happy because he has no anxieties of material existence. But as a compassionate sympathizer, he feels unhappiness for suffering materialistic men, and thus he occasionally comes before the materialistic men to teach them the necessity of going back to Godhead. So advanced personality who is not at all disturbed or distracted by the false happiness, and who realize the real happiness, he is also sharing with others, compassionately sympathizing with others. That's what marathon is all about. We are trying to be. We may not have great compassion, but we are trying to be an instrument of the compassionate personality like Prabhupada, who could see the suffering of so many and took so much of trouble to go through all kinds of difficulties to establish the movement, and trying to share the message of the reality where we can be really happy, actually happy, without any material anxieties, without any sufferings of birth, old age, disease, and death. So that's the compassionate heart. There is a beautiful verse also in, I think, in third canto. That verse says that Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Daiva अधर्मशीलस्य सुदुःखितस्य अनुग्रहायेह चरन्ति नूनं भूतानि भव्यानि जनार्दनस्य. Verse says that Janasya Krishna Mukasya Daivat. So because the normal people are Vimukasya Daivat. Vimukha means they are I'm just seeing the verse. I just show the verse. So it's a very beautiful verse, befitting to Prabhupada and compassionate personalities. Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Daivat Adharmasilasya Sudukkitasya Anugrahayeha Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. Please read. Translation.
O my Lord, great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord.
To be obedient to the wishes of the Supreme Lord is a natural position of the living being. But due to only to past misdeeds, a living being becomes averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord and suffers all miseries of the material existence. So, Vimukasya Daivat, because we became Vimukha, that's why we are suffering. Janasya Krishna, Vimukasya Daivat, Vimukha. Vimukha means we become averse, we become opposite to the Unmukha, Vimukha. So these are the two terms. So Vimukha is becoming averse to the Lord. But Anugraha is Charantinunam, because they have Anugraha, they are showing Anugraha, they have compassion. Charantinunam, they are Charanti, they are traveling. Bhutani Bhavyani Janardhanas, because to give the message of the Lord, they are traveling all over the world. So that's the nature of the advanced souls. That's the nature of the advanced souls, that to travel, to show compassion. The same thing is mentioned here, that the more advanced consciousness one has, just like in Satyaloka, they are concerned about others also. Please read.
Hare Krishna.
Next
After
verse.
reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtlest body in the identity similar to that of gross body, and one after another he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery, fishery, glowing and airy until he reaches the eternal stage.
So after reaching Satyaloka, how he goes ahead? Because Satyaloka is the topmost planet in this universe. In this universe, because you just imagine just like the picture of Karanada Sai Vishnu, who is lying in Karana Ocean. Karana Ocean, then he is from his holes, there are millions and millions of planets, universes, not just planets. Universes are coming from the every pore of the Mahavishnu. So each universe is coming, Brahmanda is coming from each pore. Now in each Brahmanda, in each universe, Brahmanda or universe, anything, same. So in each universe, we are talking about this planetary systems, right? Hope you are able to imagine. I may have some picture of that Brahmandas. You might have seen also many times. So each Brahmanda has all these planetary systems, 14 planetary systems. Now he reached the 14th planet, topmost planet of Brahmaloka. I don't have that. Okay. So he reached the topmost planet, Brahmaloka. From there, how he travels is saying here. After Satyaloka, how he goes ahead, passes through layers. Now each Brahmanda has the 7 layers covered by each Brahmanda has these 7 layers coverings. So this earth, water, fire, air, ether, and false ego, Mahatattva, Dham. All these layers are there. So the yogi has to pierce through, not pierce through, goes through to enjoy the facilities available in these layers also. This description comes in Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami. How each layer has a great facility to enjoy than the enjoyments are existing in 14, the topmost planets in this universe, 7 planets, just like Swarga, Maharlok, Tapalok, Janalok, Satyalok. Both these are 7 layers. In each layers also there are many residents are there. There is enjoyments are there. There are very refined enjoyments are there. So yogi wants to enjoy them. So he goes through all these layers also. Earth layer, water layer. Each layer has its own thickness. We will read that one. Prabhupada writes you might have come across. Yeah, I think Prabhupada writes it only. Please read this one. Next devotee.
According to Srila Prabhupada, all the universes are clustered together up and down, and each and every one of them is separately sevenfold covered. The watery portion is beyond the sevenfold covering, and each covering is 10 times more expansive than the previous covering. The personality of Godhead, who creates all such universes by his breathing periods, lies above the cluster of the universe.
Yeah. So I described about how Mahavishnu, from each pore, all the Brahmandas are coming out, universes are coming out. And in each universe, Mahavishnu expands himself as a Garbhoda Sai Vishnu, and he lies on the Garbhodaka ocean. So I hope you are able to understand. Maybe in next class I will show you a picture. So in each portion, each universe is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, half filled with water, Garbhodaka ocean. On top he is lying, and from his navel comes the lotus. On the lotus, they stay 14 planetary systems on the lotus stem. On top of the lotus, Brahma is residing. So now the yogi is transferred till the topmost planet Satyaloka, and then from there he is going up and up. Now each universe is covered by 7 layers. That's what here also Prabhupada mentioned. Each and every one of them is separately sevenfold covered. That's what. So each layer has a thickness of 10 times than the previous layer. Now the first layer is earth, water, fire, ether. All these 5 layers on the top of the universe has. So he will enter into earth layer, then he will enter into watery layer. So that's how he is passing through different layers. So we can see also, if you want to read about layers, you can read this purport. Prabhupada explains. We don't have much time now, but if you want to go through 3:11:41, Prabhupada explains about layers, different layers of the universe. Okay, please read next verse.
The devotee,
Yeah, please.
the devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing forms, touch by contacting, the vibrations of the ear by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities.
Please read purport.
Beyond the sky, there are subtle coverings resembling the elementary coverings of the universes. The gross coverings are a development of partial ingredients of the subtle causes. So the yogi or devotee, along with liquidation of the gross elements, relinquishes the subtle causes like aroma by smelling. The pure spiritual spark, the living entity, thus becomes completely cleansed of all material contamination to become eligible for entrance into the kingdom of God.
So I think it may be becoming difficult for you to imagine now, but because later the creation section when it comes, you will be able to understand more easily. So just like the creation happens The creation happens by Mahavishnu's glance at Mahatattva, and then how the Mahatattva gradually transforms into false ego, then how the creation happens. Just like creation happens, similarly winding up also same way it happens. So the winding up in the sense that the yogi passes through all this creation, how it happened. The same way he gradually gives up everything, gradually goes through everything that is winding up everything. So that's how is explained here. Maybe I'll just show one small part of that one. Maybe to explain, maybe everything will be difficult now, but I'll just show what exactly happens while the creation. So you know that you might have heard that Mahavishnu glances on Mahatattva, how he pregnant jivas with karma and subhava and kala. So then the glance produces pradhana. She gives it to Mahatattva. Yeah, this is the picture. This is Mahavishnu. It's glancing on Mahatattva side by Mahadevi. Then Mahatattva, by the glance, this is the glance. What the glance has? Glance has the jivas with their karma and swabhava and kala also both. Jivas and kala, time and living entities are included in the glance of Mahavishnu. Because at the time of Pralaya, everything is went into Mahavishnu. So now, again, when creation starts, when he glances, he brings out everyone through his glance and puts into Mahatattva. So that's how it's explained. Then when he glances, then Pradhana manifests, and from Pradhana, he uses Mahatattva. That's what is explained. So from Mahatattva, of course, is explained about what is the quality of Mahatattva. So from Mahatattva, false ego comes because of interaction of false ego, goodness with modes. Then these are all formed. It will be difficult to comprehend you now. I'm just explaining the reverse process now. You may not, everything it will be difficult, but I'm just explaining how now he's saying, see, the yogi went through the 5 gross and 5 subtle elements. He's relinquishing these. He's going through all these 5 gross elements he went through at water, fire, ether. Now he is relinquishing these 5 subtle elements also. Right? You read just the translation. By tasting, he is giving up the subtle sense of the taste. By smell, he is giving up that kind of element. So he's gradually giving up all these 5 gross and 5 subtle elements. He's winding up now. This is the creation happened. Similarly, he's winding up. He's trying to relinquish everything. This reverse process. Now he will give up the senses, then the mind, then the false ego. Then he will achieve liberation. That's how it winding up happens. Just like creation happens gradually. Similarly, winding up happens. Similarly. I just showed, but later on in third canto, you will understand more deeply. So the process of creation, process of everything happens. So here we are seeing how this devotee or the yogi surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like aroma by smelling. Just like I showed the 5 gross senses and 5 subtle senses. 5 gross senses, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, we just read the previous verse, and this verse explains the 5 subtle sense objects. He is giving up each layer by layer. Yeah. Then he will go to the topmost planet. Please read.
This stage of rendering.
Translation, please.
The devotee, thus surpassing the gross and subtle forms of coverings, enters the plane of egoism, and in that status he merges the material modes of nature, ignorance and passion, into this point of neutralization, and thus reaches egoism in goodness. After this, all egoism is merged into the Mahat Tattva, and he comes to the point of pure self-realization.
So as I explained, as I showed in the PPT, so gradually he winds up 5 gross senses, 5 subtle elements, 5 sense organs, as I mentioned, surpassing the gross and subtle forms of coverings. And previous to that, yeah, he's on the topmost planet of Satyaloka. Then he's all these elements he crossing. He's giving up everything. Giving up in the sense that he is able to enjoy there, he's able to experience there, and then he's satisfied with that and he's going ahead. That's how he is being purified more and more. So we have to understand that he is giving up the desire to enjoy in that layers. If you maintain that desire, then one may stay there only, just like Satyaloka or whatever, wherever he wishes to. But the main thrust is that he's giving up the desire gradually, slowly, he's being purified through Kama Mukti gradually. So that is explained. So he is entering into layers of false ego, and then Mahatattva, then Pradhan. So then finally he gives up and then becomes purified. Please read this one. First para.
This stage of rendering transcendental loving service to your self-realization.
Please read, highlight.
In this stage of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord without any hopes of emolument from the Lord or any other way can be attained when the material senses are purified and the original pure state of the senses is revived.
So Prabhupada brings out the devotional understanding how one has to do it to attain pure self-realization. Is the pure consciousness of admitting oneself to be eternal servitor of the Lord. So because we want to enjoy than to serve, that's where we are trying to going through all these layers also. But Prabhupada brings out the point that one has to admit oneself to be eternal servitor. Then we can attain pure consciousness of self-realization without trying to do all these gimmicks through different planetary systems. Prabhupada explains beautifully all these things. But Prabhupada brings out how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started Sankirtan, directly coming to the stage of self-realization by easy process and effective process of Sankirtan. Please read the highlight portion.
Lord Sri Chaitanya therefore made it easier for the prospective devotee of the present age in the following specific manner. Ultimately, there is no difference in the result.
Yeah. So we are being fortunate just to hear and understand this topic itself is like quite cumbersome and quite difficult. But of course, now we will come to the beautiful, easy, and happy process of Bhakti Yoga. Contrasting, sometimes it makes sense. I am in a safe position, right? So we need not go through all these things, but at the same time, we are practicing Bhakti. At the same time, in the Bhakti also, we have to pass through layers of Bhakti are described here. They are, last time also we discussed, Bhakti also has certain kinds of layers of that we need to go through and surpass through, are kind of, Prabhupada explains, they are mainly offenses. Prabhupada explained about Bhakti Yoga, mainly how it has to be done based on Shastra and chanting Hare Krishna, and how the seed of Bhakti is given, how it grows, how it penetrates Brahma Jyoti, and it goes through different stages. And then finally, how it gives fructified. When one reaches the lotus feet of Lord Krishna at Gola Vrindavan, the watering process of hearing and reading is also chanting of the holy name in the pure devotional stage fructifies. And the fruits grown there in the form of love of God are tangibly tasted by the devotee, even though he is here in this material world. So Prabhupada explaining about the Bhakti Lata. So we have received the seed of Bhakti, we are pouring the water in the form of hearing and chanting and reading and all these 9 whole devotional service. Gradually, the plant is growing, and it is giving different stages. It's coming different stages, and the final stages of fructification, flowers and fruits are coming out. That fruit is love of God. That is also tangibly tasted by the devotee, though he is here in this material world. So Prabhupada is giving kind of a great affirmation, great substantial confirmation that one can taste the real fruit even in this material world, the process of bhakti. So the ripe fruits of love of God are released only by the devotees constantly engaged in watering process as described above. Yeah. So we cannot stop the process of watering, thinking that okay, where are the fruits? Where are the flowers? So that we should not be disappointed with right now. Just like any tree that we plant, even in the material world, when you plant a coconut tree or a mango tree or any other tree or a jackfruit tree, you have to keep on watering the seed. You have to maintain the seed. You have to protect the seed plant. You have to keep on watering. You have to take out all the all the unwanted creepers, and then you keep on watering and maintaining it. Then after a few years, then the plant starts giving up the fruits, jackfruit or mango fruit or whatever. So it takes time to release. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that we need to be patient, and at the same time we need to follow the process of rooting out the unwanted creepers in the form of offenses. So he lists all the offenses here, 10 offenses in this year. Okay. Then he explains about the process, summary of the process. Okay. Text 31.
Translation. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead in complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world, and he never returns.
So Prabhupada translates in terms of devotional service, but the verse is explaining about yogi. So yogi merges into Brahman and doesn't return. He doesn't return back to material world. So that's what the main import of the verse. After he crossing the layers and he then purified from all the false ego, then he enters into Brahman. So Prabhupada explained about Bhagavatim, how one should attain to the highest abode. Bhagavatim Gatim, Etam Gatim, Bhagavatim Gatoyaha, Savai Punar Neha Vishajyatenga. He doesn't return back. So that Prabhupada explains here more in terms of devotional understanding, how he enters into spiritual world, the description of the transferring to spiritual world, explained in detail. Yeah, he very much goes into the process of how bhakti also has to be practiced, how he attains the topmost planet. Please read this one.
The Bhakti Yogi being completely engaged in the Lord's service has no attraction for any other process of liberation like jnana or yoga. A pure devotee is a 100% devotee of the Lord and nothing more.
Yeah. So he explains in terms of Bhakti Yogi. Please read this one.
Bhakti Yogi's elevation, attainment of love of Godhead means complete freedom from all other attractions. The conditioned soul has many aspirations such as becoming a religious man, becoming a rich man or first-class enjoyer, becoming God himself or becoming powerful like the mystics and acting wonderfully by getting anything or doing anything. But all these aspirations should be rejected by the prospective devotee who actually wants to revive his dormant love of God. The impure devotee aspires after all of the above mentioned material things by perfection of devotion. But a pure devotee has none of the tinges of the above contaminations, which are the influence of material desires, impersonal speculations, and attainment of mystic powers. One can attain the stage of love of God by pure devotional service or by a learned labor of love, for the sake of the devotee's lovable object, the personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So here, so he's saying that we have to completely free from all the attractions. He's explaining in terms of pure devotional service. A pure devotee has none of the tinges of the above contaminations in terms of karma, jnana, or yoga. Yeah, please.
To be more clear, if one wants to attain the stage of love of Godhead, he must give up all desires for material enjoyment. He should refrain from worshipping any of the demigods, and he should devote himself only to the worshipping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He must give up the foolish idea of becoming one with the Lord and the desire to have some wonderful powers just to get the ephemeral adoration of the world. The pure devotee is only favorably engaged in the service of the Lord without any hope of emolument. This will bring about love of Godhead or the stage of Santam and Anandam as stated in this verse.
Yeah, Shantam or Anandam. As the yogi experiences the Shantam and Anandam by going to the Brahman. So, but Prabhupada parallelly writes about the devotee, how he has to be detached from all these material things, and one should focus on attainment of the love of God. Prabhupada full purport devotes about how to develop that love of God, and finally he mentions about how we'll achieve that one by detaching oneself. Okay, now till now, so now he achieved the Brahman realization. Not just he achieved Brahman realization, he went to the position of Brahman. He's merged in Brahman, the yogi. Now he is no more returning back, as the verse says. Now this section 32 to 37 is the final section where Sukadeva Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, we will read the verses from here. Ete Shriti te Nrupaveda Gite Tvaya Brishte cha Sanatane cha Ye vai pura brahmana tushta Aradito Bhagavan Vasudevaha.
Your Majesty, Maharaj Parikshit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped.
So now the two processes, two pathways are mentioned by Sukadeva Goswami, and he is giving reference on what basis I spoke. So this was described personally by Lord Krishna to Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. So Lord Krishna spoke to Brahma about these two paths. So same thing was explained to Parikshit Maharaj by Sukadeva Goswami when he asked the question. Of course, in an indirect way, when asked by others who have their different opinions about the actual process and the benefit to the people in general and people who are going to die. So this is described by Parikshit Sukadeva Goswami. This is in according to the Vedic version. It's not just concoction of himself. Yeah, please read the highlight portion.
The two different ways of reaching the spiritual sky and thereby getting an emancipation from all material bondage, namely either the direct process of reaching the kingdom of God or the gradual process through the higher planets of the universe, are set forth exactly according to the version of the Vedas.
Yeah. So these two ways, as the Brahmamukti or Sadhyamukti are mentioned, the direct liberation or gradual liberation. These are bona fide processes. That's what Prabhupada mentions here. So Prabhupada, same thing, same principle, he brings out that we need to accept authority of Vedas, authority of the Acharyas to understand the higher reality. Without accepting authority, we cannot access higher reality. That's the anywhere, not only in the spiritual realm, even in if you want to understand anything, subject matter, any subject matter in general also, materially also, we need to approach a higher authority, either for music or for medical or for lawyer. Everyone has to approach some authority to access higher reality, especially in terms of spiritual realization. If one does not follow the authoritative version of the Acharyas, he will mainly search after the truth mentioned in the Vedas. One will not be successful. Okay, now the Sukadeva Swami is giving, he's talking to Parikshit Maharaj. He spoke that now whatever I spoke is based on Shastra, based on authority. Krishna spoke to Brahma. Okay. Nahiyato anya shiva pantha vishata samsrita viha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo yato bhavet. Please read.
For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what aims at the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna.
This is the last section of this chapter where Sukadeva Swami is establishing the path of devotion. He glorified devotion initially in the first chapter, first 15 verses, and he brought out the topic of Ashtanga Yoga. And again, he is concluding here. For those who are wandering in middle, there is no more auspicious path, auspicious means of deliverance. Nahi anya shiva pantha, nahi yato anya shiva pantha. Those who entered into samsara, samsrita in the material world, samsrita is the material world. Those who entered in the material world are wandering in the material world, are wandering. What is the process? Vasudeve Bhagavati. Bhakti yoga yato bhave. Bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga unto whom? Vasudeva. Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva is the highest. So the process, those who are wandering, this is the highest process. Bhakti is the highest. Now he mentioned all these Ashtanga Yoga. All these are different. But my decision, my conclusion is that Bhakti is the best. So that's what he established in this 33rd verse. Prabhupada very much glorifies Bhakti Yoga, of course, because it is the process that we are all following. And it's based on Shastra. It's not just our own mental and concoctions, but it's based on Shastra only. So Prabhupada proves from Bhagavad Gita only how different processes also aim at Bhakti Yoga. So because the process of Jnana is very troublesome, as it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter. If you want to talk to anyone who is very much attached to Brahman realization, we can focus on 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It very clearly mentions, establishes, not only mentions this, establishes how Bhakti is the topmost, how impersonal liberation or impersonal is. Their process and their goal, both are very troublesome. Definitely, goal is definitely not troublesome. It's very, Brahman realization is also explained as very kind of ananda, definitely is there, but it's not as compared to as that of service to the Lord. The comparison is given by Rupa Goswami that the Brahmananda and the Premananda and Sevananda and Jadananda. Jadananda is about materialistic happiness. Brahmananda is about merging in Brahman. And Premananda is about having love of God. Above all that, Sevananda, serving the Lord. So that's how the gradual, the condensed happiness has been explained by Rupa Goswami. So definitely we agree that there is definitely a happiness that are going beyond these three modes of nature, pushings and pullings of these subtle forces with us, within us. There is definitely happiness, especially kind of a peace when you conquer the mind and senses. Right. You also might have experienced many times when you are peaceful and happy, and when you go to a forest, kind of a serene place, any kind of a people experience when they do meditation, kind of a thing. So these are very little experiences of happiness, but compared to that, it's quite minimum. That's what even Gita explains and establishes. And path of jnana, the path of jnana is also not only it's troublesome. In 7th chapter, Prabhupada in Krishna only establishes that Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. The Jnani, after millions of births practicing, he will come to me. He has to come to Krishna. So that's the based on Bhagavad Gita. And yoga, Prabhupada quotes from 6th chapter. Yoginam api sarvesham matkatena antaratmana. That's he quotes. And to prove his own quotation of bhakti, Krishna is himself, he explains, establishes that bhakti is the topmost. So these verses are quoted by Prabhupada, establishing the bhakti process is the topmost. Please read the highlight portion.
Srila Sridhar Swami and all other acharyas like Jiva Goswami agree that Bhakti Yoga is not only easy, simple, natural and free from trouble, but is the only source of happiness for the human being.
But is the only source of happiness for human being. Human being means spirit soul. So it's easy, it's simple, it's natural and free from trouble compared to all other process. Right? Still we feel it's very quite a burden. Waking up in the morning, chanting 16 rounds attentively, reading Bhagavatam, especially some sections like this. It appears to be quite complex and trouble, but still it's quite a easy process, simple process compared to all other gymnastics that they have to do in jnana and yoga and karma. And not only it's simple, but it's easy. Sometimes simple things are easy, but many times some simple things are also quite complex. So, but bhakti is more as of simple at the same time easy. It's natural for the soul, natural for the soul, and it's a free from trouble. That's how bhakti is established by Sukadeva Goswami in this verse. Okay, text 34, maybe 2-3 verses we will see. Bhagavan Brahma Karsneya Trir Anviksha Manishaya Tad Adhyavasak Tad Adhyavasyat Kutasto Ratiratman Yato Bhaved. Is it?
The great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is the highest perfection of religion. The conclusion of Brahma after repeated studies.
Yeah. So he is not, Sukadeva Goswami is not just saying this is my opinion. He is quoting authority also. The great personality Brahma, after going through Vedas 3 times, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Lord Krishna is the highest perfection of religion. So he's quoting the authority of Brahma, how bhakti is the topmost. Please read the highlighted underlined portion.
He studied with great attention, concentration on the purpose of the Vedas, and after scrutinizingly examining the whole process, he ascertained that
becoming a pure, unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna is the topmost perfection of all religious principles.
Yeah, this is also an instruction of Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself and all the acharyas. So we should be confident, we should be determined, we should be jolly and happy to come in touch with bhakti process. And also we need to experience the same what is mentioned here in purports by Prabhupada. The bhakti process is very simple, very easy, very sublime, very joyous process. But Prabhupada writes, I think, in Path of Perfection book that we need to be trained to experience the joy of the bhakti process. Sometimes it becomes quite difficult also in terms of being happy with the process. We may go through many phases of life. We may be going through many phases of life, right? Even with bhakti as the process. Sometimes the phases will come. Krishna will test definitely everyone, not only you, me, everyone. But the beauty of the process is very, very sublime. The more we understand, the more we practice it, the more we can relish it. So that's what the acharyas mentioned, that's what the acharyas experienced, and that's what the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also shared with many, going through tours in South India, in North India. Everywhere he preached the sublime and the beauty and the jolly process of Bhakti Yoga, chanting and dancing and taking prasad, as Prabhupada mentions. So that we also need to experience ourselves. Experience is the one of the Sanatana Goswami mentions is one of the main aspect also to practice bhakti with more confidence. Yeah, we have many experiences. We definitely have many experiences after coming in touch with Krishna consciousness. How we are very much happy, jolly, but as we go through process, we need to sometimes we may go through some tough phases. In those tough phases, we need to look back those experiences that we had. Otherwise, we may misunderstand the process. So we need to go through the past experiences also in order to reconfirm how the process is so great, so wonderful, so that we can go ahead with confidence in tough phases. Okay, if you have any question right now, maybe only 2 verses are remaining. I don't want to rush through because the beautiful purports are there. If you have any question, you can try to answer, or we will try to cover these 2 verses in the next week, and then we'll start the next chapter. Yes, Mother. Please speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danand Pranam. Prabhuji, why most of the people chooses gradual liberation instead of direct liberation?
Most of the, I mean, it's not mentioned exactly most of the people. It's the Ashtanga yogis, those who are not purified in the heart. They may prefer because the enjoying mentality is so intense in the heart. People want to experience that one. Those happinesses also in the upper planets. Those who have those desires, they will go through those planetary systems. But if one purifies the heart, if one doesn't want to experience all those things, if one doesn't want to waste time in going through all those layers, one will definitely directly can be liberated. That's what the explanation given there. It's not mandatory for anyone. But if one has, because that we have I'm just comparing with ourselves, Bhakti Yogis. I'm just saying about Bhakti Yoga. Ashtanga Yogis is explaining this chapter. They may have strong desire to enjoy. That's everybody's. It's natural because the soul is always longing for happiness. But because we are identifying too much with these layers, different layers, with the body, with subtle senses, and want to experience more and more happiness. So that's how they are being given that opportunity to experience. Yeah. Otherwise, if one is becoming detached more and more, if one is experiencing paramdrishtvani vartate, if one is actually experiencing the higher happiness, coming in contact with the higher realities, then one will not be attracted by this lower levels of happiness. But if one is attracted, then one will go through all these experiences like that. But it is about Ashtanga yogis, as mentioned in the chapter. If they have the desires to enjoy, then they will go through. They have to go through. But they have to be purified if they want to progress in the next level. Yeah. As Bhakti yogis, we don't at all even desire any kind of happiness that has to be supposed to be, that we need to be. That's what we always pray in Sikshastakam, right, every day. The beautiful composition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the verse, is so beautiful that we may not realize it, but everything is negated there. Negated in the sense that the karma and the jnana, as we sang also yesterday and the previous classes, that karma, jnana and yoga are completely negated by devotee. He is only aspiring for a devotional service to God. न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि. So he is neither karma in the sense of heavenly pleasures, dhanam, janam, sundari, kavitam. So nor liberation, the Brahman realization sought by jnanis and yogis. How he is negating? Mama janmani janmanishware. I will take birth again and again. Because the jnanis and yogis, they always aspire to merge in Brahman, and they don't want the repeated birth and death. They always want that Brahman realization, that happiness of merging in Brahman. But Lord Chaitanya is saying that I will take birth again and again. Janmani janmanishware. Bhavatat bhakti rahaytuki tvai. But I only aspire for ahaytuki bhakti. So that is the aspiration for a devotee. So that's the understanding of Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. That we need to maintain that desire of pure devotional service always. We need to strengthen the desire to purely serve the Lord, not with any other material motivations. Then only we can directly go to the spiritual planets, not to the any heavenly planets or further layers in this universe. Hope it makes some sense. Hare Krishna. Is it okay, Madam?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So we'll pause here. Next, only 2 verses are there, beautiful verses. How Sukadeva Swami concludes, very beautiful verses. He establishes same verse, almost same verse comes here. What is said in the first chapter, Tasmat Bharat Sarvatma Bhagavani Shuro Hari. So that verse will come at 35. Of course, 3 verses, 35, 36, 37. We'll complete in the next class. Maybe 10-15 minutes will take. Thank you. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantapurti Vaishnava ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva vedanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.